Welcome to Director Pepper Social Club on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, where parks and recreation leaders share ideas, experiences, and leadership insights. Today we're bringing you an inspiring conversation filled with lessons, strategies, and stories that make a difference. Every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where leaders connect and grow. In this episode, Papa J and leadership expert Jim Uhl explore leadership, meaningful conversations, and practical ways to build stronger teams and workplace cultures.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Papa J, Jonathan Skinner. I want to show you that, Papa J. I finally got my little studio place set. Janelle let me have a little section of the room. Welcome to the Director Pepper Social Club. And we'll get you started really quick. Sorry that we're late. We had a little communication problem on my end. So this is the Director Pepper Social Club. It started, go ahead and put up the picture of the boys. There we go. It actually started several years ago in 2019. The gentleman across from me, that's Kevin the Hawk Hawkins, who was the director of Temecula down here in Southern California. He gave me a call and says, hey, Papa J, I really want us to be able to get together, directors to get together and share, our problems with work, but also be able to share our personal lives together because we spend more time at work than we do with our families. So I said, sure, let's go ahead, go to lunch, call some people together. Next to Kevin Hawkins is Jonathan Nix. He was the director in Menifee. And then the gentleman by me is the world famous Brian Ambrose from the city of Murrieta. We met at a restaurant for lunch. Kevin showed up first, ordered a Dr. Pepper. I then showed up, unbeknownst to him. I ordered a Dr. Pepper as well. Jonathan Nix ordered a Dr. Pepper. We didn't plan any of this. And then and Brian showed up after that and ordered a Dr. Pepper. Thus, April 4th, 2019, the Dr. Pepper Social Club was born. From this small group, we expanded to like 20 agencies in our area. And what Kevin wanted to do is to make sure that we started each meeting with each person go ahead and they start with how they're personally doing, how their family doing. And then we got into the meat and bones of everything after that. It grew into kind of a phenomenon for us because we were able to help each other with personal issues, but also with work issues, especially through COVID. So I want to thank this group right here. And then Craig LeBlanc, who actually is the CEO of DPRS, when he found out I was retiring, he's like, hey, Papa J, I think I like this idea about your Dr. Pepper Club. I love for other people to hear it and talk to leaders about what it's about and share your information. So thus, this show was born. Very excited to have a very learned person who is our guest today, and we're going to get to him in a second. But first, our stage manager, Carlo, who's a big stud here. Carlo, go ahead and run our intros, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the show.
Art has the power to transform spaces, to inspire communities, to tell stories that connect us to one another. Across parks, public spaces, and gathering places around the world, creativity is bringing people together in new and meaningful ways. From murals and sculptures to music, dance, theater, and cultural celebrations, the arts help turn ordinary places into extraordinary experiences. Because Parks and Recreation isn't only about facilities and programs. It's about creating places where people belong, places where culture thrives, places where imagination comes to life. Welcome to Arts in Parks and Rec, the show that explores the people, projects, and creative ideas shaping the future of arts and culture in parks and public spaces. Hosted by Beatriz Eugenia Vázquez. Together, we'll discover how the arts strengthen communities, inspire engagement, and help create vibrant places for everyone. This is Arts in Parks and Rec, a DPRS Media Network original, where creativity meets community.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Carlos. So Beatrice is one of our new podcasters. She has a great show, Arts and Park, as you heard. Carlo, go ahead and bring up the rest of our stable of podcasters. Craig has been busy. You know, it started 20 months ago, almost 2 years ago, with him, one show, which is the leadership series. As you can see there, there's at least 12 to 15 different shows there. We have about 20 hosts that host various shows, and we're growing every day. And if you're interested in Parks and Recreation or leadership, anything like that, we have something for you, whether it's youth sports with Aaron Locks, or after me, we have Wesley King with the Aquatics Life. We got Dave Ramirez with Smart Parks. So whatever you're looking for in Parks and Recreation or leadership, we have what you need. And one of the things we're trying to do is actually get enough people to subscribe to our YouTube page. Go ahead and bring that up, Carlo. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Right now, we're about 710 or so. So you always want to be on the cutting edge, right? You have a chance to be on the cutting edge to help DPRS go to the next level. Right now, we're doing live streaming on LinkedIn and Facebook. And so if we get to 1,000, we'll actually be able to do live streaming on YouTube. So please go ahead and subscribe, become part of the DPRS family. We'd love to have you there and be part of this family. So we've got done with that information stuff right there. I'm really excited to introduce you to somebody that a good friend of mine, you guys might have known him. He's been on the show before, Jason Hendricks. When he came on, he talked about his top 5 people that he would call if he had a challenge or a problem, opportunity for success, as I call it. I'm one of them. I'm really proud of that. One of the other ones is an author. He's a teacher. He is a mentor. He's written a couple of books. I have a couple here. He actually sent them to me beforehand. I've been listening to this one, Stop Being Nice. We're going to be talking about this one. His first one was The Ark, and his newest one is called Audacious. And it's my honor right now to introduce the world famous James the Jim Uhl. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
There he is. Oh,
world famous. Maybe in your world, maybe in Jason's world, but I don't know about the world.
Well, Jason and I go a long ways back, and shameless plug. I love that guy. He's got his heart into recreation, and we've had so many heart-to-hearts on various different things. And when he got a chance to talk about you briefly, he goes, "Hey, Papa J, I really want you to meet Jim, because he's one of those guys that I really rely on." And we started with emails, and then we actually had a chance to talk or so. And he's like, "Hey, Papa J, you want to read some books?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can read a book or two." We had a discussion this morning when I was doing my morning walk, and I was like, "Jim, I'll be honest with you, I do a lot of listening to." He goes, "I do too." So I love that about you. So thank you so much for being here on the show. So how we usually start it is I love Marvel and DC and superheroes and everything. We always talk about, when they start the movie, they talk about the origin story of how they got their powers. Tracy Staten, who was on last week, did a great job of relating herself to Spider-Man, and how she did the whole thing was pretty cool. So Mr. Uhl, it is your chance right now to tell our millions and millions of one listener about your origin story. And before you do that, listen, if you have a question for Jim or I, you can go ahead and type it in. Carlo will go ahead and put it on, and then we'll see if we can answer it. So, Jim, tell us your origin story, where you started at. Start wherever you want to, and then how you got to be where you're at right now.
Yeah. So, boy, how did I start to get to where I'm at? So, I'm a Southern California boy. I live now here in Northeast Florida in a small little beach community called Fernandina Beach, but that's where I've retired to. But I'm a total Southern California boy, born and raised in Whittier, and actually eventually became and ended my career. Became a police officer and ended my career at the Whittier Police Department. All total years in law enforcement, worked for just under 30 years. It was like 27 and a half years. Just had a really blessed and rich career. Had the opportunity to work field training officer, be one of our founders of a mentoring program, our peer support, or earlier it was called trauma support for officers that go through really, really terrible and tough circumstances, and being able to be there for them and help them out. I've worked gangs, narcotics, robbery, homicide, and it's just been a total blessing to be a part of a career where you get to serve and help other people. I know, Papa J, you're big on creating experiences for people, or memories. I think that's the way you tend to put it. And that's kind of how I felt throughout my entire career. When I raised to the rank of a sergeant, and you have this responsibility of taking care of these precious human beings, making sure that they leave out safe and come home safe, and they're out there doing really good work. Is that I would always tell them, I'm like, I know of no other profession, and I would say yours is very much the same in Parks and Rec. I don't know of too many other professions where every single interaction that you have an opportunity to fundamentally transform how somebody thinks and feels, not only about you, but your profession or your industry. And that's something like, whatever the media does or whatever, they can't control that narrative. They can't control the one-on-one touch points. So that's something that I'm always very, very passionate about. And, everything in policing lives, dies, and breathes off of leadership. You'd see some really good leadership, and unfortunately, you'd see some really bad leadership. And so I just started to become fascinated with the topic, and ended up getting my master's degree in organizational leadership. And from there, I got so entrenched in the topic and the subject matter, and became a total leadership geek that I was blessed enough to have a mentor of mine, Paul Decker, give me my first chance to be a professor at the university that I graduated from. So I taught graduate and undergraduate courses in leadership. And from there, that steamrolled into so many people that were in my classes. A lot of them were executives or directors from government agencies and entities. And they would have me, they'd hire me and want me to come over and help them with some challenges that they were having with their teams. And so I finally started to realize, I can get paid a little bit more money doing that and not have to grade papers, which was so that kind of began my foray into executive leadership, coaching, and team development. And that's where I'm at now. So I have a company called Breaking the Chain Consulting, where our sole purpose is to help put an end to employee disengagement. And we do that through two key frameworks: organizational health and strengths-based leadership. And my whole point is to build strong, healthy, high-performing, and purpose-driven teams. And so if you're going to go like with an origin story, I guess where I've eventually gone into, I'm not as much of a DC or Marvel guy. I'm more Lord of the Rings. So now I guess I've transitioned into being like Gandalf, the guy,
You shall not pass.
And there you go. Oh, nice to meet a fellow nerd. That's awesome.
Well, that is so awesome. So with your training with the law enforcement background, like up on the screen, you'll see there at one of your sessions. What session was this, or what were you at this?
Yeah. Point? Oh, that was that was up in Monterey, and I was doing a keynote presentation on Stop Being Nice, which is the topic of the book, and the subtitle of the book is a call for leaders to build teams that are cohesive, courageous, and kind. I know the title of the book is and the topic is somewhat controversial. And somewhat provocative, which is the point. But I think a deep dive into what the difference is between being nice and something that's the alternative to nice, and something that's much more powerful.
And you know what? Let's go ahead and dive into that. So this is the one I've been focusing on. Go ahead and bring it back, Carlo. This is the one I've been focusing on. Stop Being Nice. And when you first read the title, and it's funny because Jim and I were talking this morning. I'm like, so Jim, I'm 63 years old. I'm old school. My mom had, my mom was from Wisconsin. My dad was from Alabama. It's like, yes, sir, no, sir. The whole 9 yards. And so nice was what we're supposed to be. Give a, not 30,000, because I don't want you to go like that high, but let's go to like a 10,000 foot level of the thought process between nice and kind. And I think when I first saw the title of it, I'm like, yeah, my mom's going to kill me. But as you start going through it, it has some really good transitions, how you go from the nice to the kind.
Yeah. So regarding nice, mom always said, you were raised this way, right? And by the way, you said you're from Wisconsin, raised in Wisconsin?
No, my mom's from Wisconsin. My dad's from Alabama. I was born in Texas. So
are you a Packers fan, perhaps?
No.
What? Oh, that's right. You're Dallas. You're
Cowboys,
that's right.
Right there.
Papa J, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Man, I've heard that quite a bit. Actually, real quick, if you take a look, my wife and I do art together, and
that's awesome.
We have daffodils. So on there is Top Golf, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
And then Cowboys daffodil. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, our moms always said, this is a tried and true statement that they would say is, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Mm-hmm. And it's my contention, the years that I've been in the workspace, is that's the problem in our workplaces, is that people, sometimes they engage in behaviors, maybe it's their attitudes or their performance, that we just kind of put up with it. We're like, oh, that's just Papa J. That's just how he is. And we don't say anything about it. And that's what nice is. Nice is basically saying, hey, I tolerate you, but I don't trust you. I tolerate you, and I'm going to put up with your bad shenanigans and your bad behavior, but I don't care enough about the relationship to do anything about it. And so what I do in the book is I do take a deep dive into, I really believe words matter. And I wanted to dive into, well, what does the word nice mean? What did it originally mean? And so around 1250 to 1300 Common Era, that's what we're calling AD now, is what it really meant in Old English was silly or simple. So if I said, hey, Papa J, looking nice today, it wasn't a compliment back then. It says, hey, you're looking silly or simple. In Old France or in Old French, it was not a compliment either. It meant foolish or stupid. Again, these things were not a compliment. And then in Latin, the term was necius or necius, and what it meant was ignorant or incompetent or incapable. And so my contention is in the book is that when we know we got these tough conversations that we've got to have with people, or behaviors that we should be dealing with, when we choose to settle to not say anything and to just tolerate it and to put up with it and let everybody around us, including yourself, but letting the team suffer, when you settle for nice, that's the outcome every time. It's something that's foolish, simple, silly, stupid, ignorant, and incompetent. And that's not the right way to be. In fact, we are, as leaders, we're called to do uncomfortable things, unnatural, uncomfortable things, which that's a huge part of our job, to sacrifice ourselves in that way. And so now when you fast forward, when you look into and so one other thing I would say about nice is that if you're going to use an analogy like a pool, it's like the shallow end of the pool. That's where everybody else hangs out. And it's comfortable there. Nothing dangerous or uncertain is going to happen to you. You're just sitting there relaxing, drinking your Mai Tai. Everything's cool. But when you get into kindness, and so I looked into, well, what does the word kind really mean? And I think this is what we really need to bring into our organizations is kindness. When you look into the word kind, it comes from the Greek word Christos. And what that word means is useful, serviceable, and good. That's what kindness is. So if you and I needed to have an uncomfortable conversation, if your behavior was hurting and harming or taking away from the life of the team, for me to have that conversation with you and to do it in a loving and kind way, I'm giving you information that is useful, serviceable, and good. That's good for you, it's good for me, and it's good for the entire team to be doing that. The key thing is that we're doing it in a loving way. And I get into some key strategies in the book on how to introduce some of these tough and uncomfortable conversations. What is killing our teams, absolutely killing our teams, is that we're settling for the ravages of just being nice. We're tolerating and putting up with people's bad behaviors or bad attitudes, instead of just leaning into it. And by the way, one last thing I'll say is, a lot of times when you have these conversations with people, they didn't even realize they were doing it. A lot of times they don't have no idea. So again, you're giving them information that's useful, serviceable, and good. And I can't think of a better, more loving way to operate in the workplace than to be diving into acts of kindness. So what you were saying earlier about nice, like that's kind of like the lower tier. That's like, and I'm not saying don't be pleasing and amiable and respectful towards people, of course. But what takes us to the deeper level of the pool, it's a little scarier there. There's not as many people that hang out there, and it takes a little bit more effort. Kindness takes more efforts. Kindness takes courage. And that's what we need more of in our teams, is we need leaders and teammates that are courageous enough to lean into and do kind things that make the team so it's strong, healthy, and purpose-driven.
Well, thank you for that, because there's two, we have amazing speakers in Parks, Recreation, Community Services, but we have two that I'm thinking of right off the bat, because this is something that they do. It's Nile Bat and Jason Alisate. And actually they have sessions that they do at the NRPA conference, and actually they do it all over the country. And that's the name of the topic is having the uncomfortable conversation. Yeah. Because it's always the elephant in the room, and a lot of people don't like to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And they have been very successful in having these kind of conversations to give people the knowledge to go ahead and handle these kind of questions that they're not used to having. There's something I started doing a long time ago. First of all, I was raised by a great, dad. He was in the Air Force. He also ran for local government. My mom worked at the hospital, very religious. My dad was a deacon. My mom she still goes to church here, but the church is in Lompoc, so it's like 400 miles away. But it was always that being kind and doing things for others. The thing about Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, and Craig and the rest of the team are really talking about this, but we're an essential service. So you have essential service, which are fire and police. You definitely need fire, police, engineering, public works to make sure, things are running well within the city. But if you don't have a strong recreation department, a place for people to go and enjoy the parks, learn how to fish, learn how to do ballet, take various classes to improve themselves, you don't have a well-rounded community. And so that's one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, is making sure that everybody understands that Parks, Recreation, and Community Services is an essential service. So when there's a fire, for instance, I used to work for the city of Lake Elsinore, beautiful city of Lake Elsinore, and myself, Bo Davis, who is now the interim director, when there's a fire and we had to open emergency shelters, it was our team that went in and opened the emergency shelters. Between Bo and I, we were there between 12 and 14 hours during the day, all day. So we always had people there to take care of individuals, but our staff was there. And so instead of having to worry about where they're going to sleep and what they're going to eat, we were there to help take care of that. And it's not taking away anything from anybody else. It's just reinforcing that Parks, Recreation, and Community Services is an essential part of a well-rounded community. You talked about
Papa Jay, you notice, like, everything you said, that cost you something. That cost you and your team something. It maybe cost you some sleep. It cost you had to bust an emotional calorie to go do those things. You didn't have to go do that, but you would go above and beyond and do those things. And that is a profound act of kindness. And that's the whole point, is that's number one, what the world needs are these acts of kindness, not just kind of tolerating, it kind of sucks, this is what's happened to these folks. No, let's lean in and go do something about it.
Exactly. And one of the things I was going to say there too, I still do it. I don't do it as much, but I need to do it more, especially after reading your book. or listening to your book. Let's be honest, listening to your book is and if you go to my LinkedIn, you can see my progression. But it's called ARC, and acts of random kindness. And so I believe very strongly in giving praise where praise is due. It was funny working in Lake Elsinore. I would always say to my rank and file staff or whoever it is, especially Bo, but the frontline people that work with the public, I would say, well, this is my boss. And, the kids would laugh and everything, but I'm like, here's the thing. You're the person that they see first. They only see me if shaking hands and kissing babies, or if there's a problem, but you're the one that they have the first contact with. So if you have the empowerment to make decisions and have the backing of quote unquote the director of the department, you're going to be able to do some great and fantastic things. One of the things I was thinking about, and we got about 5 minutes before we need to go to a break. And I can't remember the 9 when I was in this, I think it's in chapter 2 or 3, where you talked about the 9.
The eternal 9.
The internal 9. Talk about the internal 9.
Yeah, the eternal 9. So, interestingly enough, so again, I'm a geek about getting into words and the meaning of words, because I believe words matter. Just like you have your own unique DNA that makes Papa J, and I've got my own unique DNA that makes up Jim Uhl. Well, these words got their own unique DNA, and words matter. And sometimes we muddy up these words and they lose their meaning, their core meaning down the way. But I love looking at, okay, well, what did the word Christos, obviously it meant useful, virtuous, useful, serviceable, and good. And one place where it is specifically mentioned, where you see this, it was actually in a biblical passage. It's in Galatians, and it talks about these are the things that God would consider to be eternally and universally virtuous, useful, and good. And in Christian circles, they talk about it. It's called the fruit of the Spirit. And I call it, for the purposes of the book, I call it the eternal 9, that the outcome of kind acts are going to be these 9 things. The outcome of the workplace, our relationships with one another, is going to be these 9 things if we forsake the simplicity and the ravages of kindness and instead of niceness and going into kindness. And those 9 things are love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, goodness, self-control, faithfulness, doing what you said that you were going to go do, all culminating into kindness. Now, who wouldn't want to work in an environment like that, Papa J? Who wouldn't want to work in an environment where they feel loved? Where that when you do have to chew my butt for something maybe I didn't do, that you did it with some gentleness and some self-control. Who wouldn't want to work in these environments? These are things that are universally and eternally serviceable and good for the workplace. And that is a huge thing that I'm trying to bring into the cultures of workplaces, is that number one, we've been sold a lie. We've been sold a lie that, hey, these people are they're there to go, we're paying them to go do a job, go do your job. But you mentioned earlier, when you started to get with your Director Pepper Social Club, when you guys got together, the first thing you got into was the personal. It was the human aspect of it. It was the human-centeredness part of it. And that's my call, is to bring in these eternal 9 back into the workplace where they belong, because we know that, Gallup focuses on well-being. They look at what's called the Gallup Net Thriving Score. And there's these 5 elements of well-being. There's career well-being, social well-being, community well-being, financial and physical. Well, they know, and you can either be thriving, struggling, or suffering. The goal is to be thriving, obviously. We know that there's one of those that's the linchpin, that if we don't get this one right, it negatively impacts all the others. It's career well-being. So the conditions that we make, this is why leadership matters. This is why teams matter. The conditions that we create in the workplace will have a profound impact on someone's social well-being, their community well-being, their physical and financial well-being. So I think when you really take your job as a leader seriously and realize, hey, I'm not just here to just make widgets and get my other people to be really good widget makers. It's like, no, I'm there to help them become better versions of themselves and better human beings. That's what I want to pursue.
And I love that, in the fact that, especially in our field, in my field, staff loves to see leadership out there rubbing elbows, cleaning toilets, picking up trash. One thing I was really, really proud of is, Bo Davis, and I call him Captain America. Everything for me is kind of like Marvel later. So he's Captain America, and geez, I can't think of his name. Samuel L. Jackson. What was he? Fury. Yeah. So, but when we have a concert that goes, till 9:30 at night, Bo and I and the rest of the management team are out there, picking up tables, picking up trash. We're the last ones to leave because we want to set the example that no job is underneath a leader. Because once you make that separation, well, I'm a leader and I'm not going to go and you're going to do this. Yep. You set up that animosity. So we've done always, and I've done it my whole career. I never want that animosity there. And there's a part in it where you in the book where you're talking about making sure that there's like on an even playing field, if you were. Well, and there's opportunities that if it's one, you have to use a hierarchy. You have to be a sergeant. Well, that's what it is as far as the how the organization operates. I need to be a sergeant, but what you need to know is I might have the title as a sergeant, but you're just as important as I am.
Yes.
And I think that right there resonates really, really well. So listen, we're going to take a break right now. Carla's going to put on some more basically ads and things like that to help us pay for us to be able to talk to the world famous Jim Uhl. And then we'll be back talking about some of his other books. Go ahead, Carla.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
Thank you, Carlos. So, Outdoor Link, if you have a building or facility or something like that you need to be able to supervise while you're not there, Outdoor Link gives you that ability to go ahead and put it through their system and say somebody calls me, hey, Papa J, the lights are on in the park. Boom, boom, boom. I'm able to take care of it. Hey, one of the doors is not locked. You're able to lock it from there. That's Dave Ramirez from from Smart Parks. Dave is in Florida, so I think maybe I need to go down to Florida. Do you fish, Jim?
Not well.
Okay, so we need to get together with Dave, and you and I will go fishing with Dave down in Florida. The other one is Youth Sports Mastery, which is Aaron Locke. Aaron Locke has 2 shows actually on Youth Sports Mastery. That's popular. He's actually got all of his guests booked out for a year. That's how great he is. And I love that infomercial, because I say that to staff all the time. They go, well, I'm just a recreation leader. I'm just that. No, you're not just that. You are the recreation leader. You are the coordinator. You are the first line that they make their evaluation of how our parks, recreation, community services run. So really appreciate those 2 organizations. And listen, if you're interested in showing some of your goods and services on DPRS, please hit me up in LinkedIn. We'll get you to the right people, and we'd love to have you be part of the DPRS family. So back to the world famous Jim Uhl. So Jimmers, I love the book and the title itself, because it kind of throws you off a little bit. Is there a reason that you use that specific stop being nice, especially for somebody who grew up where you're supposed to be nice?
Yeah, well, the reason why where the idea and the concept first came from is there's an author by the name of Patrick Lencioni. Guy's an absolute genius. He's written about 13, 14 books, but his most popular one, written about 25, 26 years ago today, and just as relevant today, is called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. One of his other books he wrote was called The Advantage. And in it, that's where he first said, hey, too many leaders are confusing. And he was talking in the context of having conversations with folks. They're confusing being nice, which is tolerating but not really trusting people, with kindness. And he kind of left it at that. And that caused me to go, and I was like, I was really intrigued by that. And that's what caused me to take a deeper dive into that. And the deeper dive I dove into it, I'm like, the more I started to see, like, almost every single problem that we have in our organizations, among our relationships on our team, and then also even in our personal relationships, is because we're settling for nice. We're just tolerating. We're just putting up with, instead of leaning into and having some of the tough conversations. And which, by the way, if you are interested, and if you wanted to go down that route, I'd love to leave your audience just a practical strategy on how to introduce a tough conversation with folks.
Well, I was going to talk to you. I was going to bring that up with dialogue versus discussion.
Yeah. Discussion.
But
man, you were actually paying attention.
Yes, I was. But you want to take a look at the screen? Look who's on there.
Look who's on there. Good old Jason Hendricks.
Jason Hendricks. Okay, Jason, you get the $5. I said, if you listen, I'll give you $5. You get the $5. But go ahead.
I'll split it with you.
Well, yeah. So go ahead and go into dialogue versus discussion.
Yeah, really important to understand. As human beings, there's 2 main ways that we can communicate: discussion or dialogue. Discussion, again, words matter. I love breaking down words. Discussion has the same root word as things that the Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers get. They get concussions from hitting their head. Cushion is the same root word as concussion. Drummers play percussion. And so when you hear the word discussion, it actually automatically denotes that there's going to be a battle. There's going to be a hitting away. There's going to be almost kind of like a ping pong match, a back and a forth. And that's unfortunately what I think far too many people on teams and in our meetings, especially in our executive and leadership meetings, is they're too interested in having a discussion. And a discussion is, you're in it to win it. And how you learn as a team is not commensurate with how you learn as an individual. Like you were listening to and learning from Stop Being Nice, and that was for your own self-centered agenda. Not that it was bad, it's just that was just for you. Well, how you learn as a human being, as an individual, is not commensurate with how we learn as teams. And so if you're just in it to win it in a conversation with a team, we're gonna fail. There's gonna be a lot of fighting. There's gonna be a lot of hurt feelings. A lot of ego is gonna get in the way. So a discussion, when you're in discussion, because you're in it to win it, you're gonna use things to your advantage to win. I'm gonna use hierarchy. So I might use my position or my title to shut down a conversation. I might raise my voice, which we'll often do. That's a form of hierarchy, or stand above you. We'll use strategies like, I'm not really listening to you. All I'm doing is listening to and trying to find the weakness or the flaw in your argument, instead of trying to listen to understand what it is that you're trying to say. And I'm not asking questions. I'm not interested in asking questions, because discussion begins from a place of, I already know. I already know what the right way is. And I'm just trying to convince you, get you to converge into what I think and feel and believe. And so that's discussion. And that's where, unfortunately, I think far too many teams and personal interactions begin with, is with discussion. And dialogue, though, that's made up of two different words. Dia means through, and log comes from the word logos, which means word, meaning, or truth. So in other words, when you're having a dialogue with somebody, it's through words, it's through the art of conversation, we will discover the meaning and truth. So the objective in a dialogue is not to just win and to win over you. It is learning, discovery, understanding, and truth. And that's what we should be seeking in our meetings, is learning, discovery, understanding, and truth. So it doesn't rely on hierarchy. It relies on deep listening. It relies on asking lots of questions. It relies on throwing out all types of ideas, throwing out divergent ideas. Dialogue requires you recognizing what somebody has to say. Now, if I said to you, hey, why don't you step into my office, Papa J, I want to have a dialogue with you. You'd be like, weirdo. That's a weird word to be using, right? So what I recommend people using is use the word conversation, but still use the same tactics and tenets that go into having a dialogue. And I think that's where most teams and relationships need to begin is, hey, let's begin with using the tenets of a dialogue with folks rather than going straight to discussion. Now, there is a time and a place for discussion. And that's in, like when you were talking about some of those emergency situations, when you just got to make a quick, decisive decision, hey, go do this, go do this. The decision should already kind of be made, and we should already know what we are going to do in an emergency situation, because we've already dialogued about it. We've already prepped and planned on what we're going to do, so that then we can just give those decisive directives. So discussion is the necessary counterpart to a really good dialogue. I'm just saying that we need to go to dialogue sooner and a little bit longer than just going strictly into having a discussion with people that shuts people down.
No, I agree. And one of my only caveat to what you were saying is, especially in recreation and working with younger people, they want to have as much information without too much information, if that makes sense. So when you say, hey, I want to have I'd like to have a conversation in my office, if you don't give them what the conversation is about, it causes more angst.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing I was like listening. I'm like, okay, I hear what he's saying, but hey, Jim, I want to have a conversation about, something that happened in day camp.
100%.
So then if you don't give them that qualifier there, it's like, oh, geez, what did I do? I didn't, did I shoot the dog or something like that? And so giving that qualifier, I think is important. But all in all, I like the book. Actually, I was telling Bo and some other staff when I went to go pick up my grandkids, I said, I'm reading this book. When you read the title, it's like, ooh, okay. But then once you get into it, and like he says, Jim is a wordsmith. He looks at how the origin of the word and everything like that. So he gives you that background of the difference between nice and kind and dialogue and discussions and those kind of things that help you understand and give you an option to be open. And that's the other thing is one of the challenges we have is people not being open to hearing a different point of view. You were talking about it in the book. I was listening to you while you were saying, friends, Democrats don't have many friends that are Republicans and vice versa. I don't really get in the politics, but it's true. You usually stay within your own. Well, I'm going to think on this way and I'm going to think this way, rather than saying, well, maybe there is some right over here, some correct information over here. And I need to be able to drop my stoic way and maybe open up to find out different ways of dealing with it. So So I think that's a book, guys. If you're looking at a book, I would definitely read that one and take it and internalize it to benefit yourselves. One of the challenges that we have in leadership is it really touches on what we do. Some challenges are that the higher management is not seeing the same thing that we do with our teams. So we're able to create some great teams. But let's say if council or the trustees have a different idea about the way you should go, those kind of things need to be looked at as well. So we're we're definitely going to have you on again, Jim. But I want to hit on. So tell me about the arc. I didn't have a chance to read the arc yet. So tell me in a couple minutes, because I do want to touch on Audacity too. So tell me about arc.
Yeah, the Arch, it's a framework for leadership in life. That's my first book. It was my baby, and that book is more about just your own personal leadership development. And I use a metaphor. I think metaphors are very, very powerful, and we talk in metaphors all the time. We say, "Oh, Joe's a couch potato." It's a metaphor. Pat Benatar told us love is a battlefield, right? So we speak in terms of metaphor. It's a very, very powerful way to communicate. And so the metaphor that I came up with is that your life is an arch, and you want to build it strong for yourself and for those that you lead. And if you look at what makes an arch so strong, like I just got back from Rome. We went to Rome on a family vacation, and you're looking at the Colosseum and all the buildings that they built in ancient Rome. It was all based on arch technology, and it is the strongest, longest, most enduring architectural device. And it's just based on three principles. And those three principles are this. It's got the stones that are the fancy name for it are called the voussoirs. But you got the stones that make up the arch. You have the bottom piece that's called the abutments. It's like the substructure that all the stones go down into the arch that keep it from flaring out, because an arch naturally wants to just flare outward. The external tensions and pressures are pulling away at you. And then finally, you have the centerpiece, the keystone. And those are the three elements that make for a really good arch. And what I argue in the book is that you want to align your life like an arch. You've got to have the right stones in the right order. You've got to have abutments in your life that keep the external tensions and temptations from pulling you away. And you got to have a keystone that locks everything into place. Like if you remove the keystone, the whole thing falls apart. And so metaphorically, the stones is you want to prioritize your stones, and you want to prioritize your stones with who are the most important people in your life. Obviously your family, your friends, your job is an important thing. All these things, you kind of want to prioritize your stones. These are important things. You can have other stones in life, like going out and partying and drinking with my friends, and that's okay. But if you overdo those stones, you're gonna come off balance. And then the abutments, the analogy I use is that those are people that you need to have in your life. You were talking about Jason earlier, him seeing you as a mentor. You're an abutment for him. So all the external tensions and temptations and worldly things that may be pulling him away, he's going to you. You're an abutment that's reminding him, no, stay focused, stay aligned. And these people got to be positive, healthy role models, not just a role model, healthy role model, and positive and encouraging people. And then finally, what's your keystone in life? What's the thing that if you removed it, the whole thing would come collapsing. The whole thing would come falling down. Now, some people say it's my spouse, it's my kids. Well, I know a lot of people who've been even in the most tragic of circumstances where they've lost a spouse or their children, they still carry on. They can still carry on and live very meaningful, full, and rich lives in honor of that person. So my contention is the keystone has got to be bigger than you. It's got to be more important than you. It's got to be wiser than you. It's got to be something that knows how to keep you aligned. For me, I've identified my keystone. Mine just happens to be my faith in Jesus Christ and God. Doesn't matter what your keystone is. What matters is it's got to be bigger than you, larger than you, and keep you aligned. And so that's what that book's about. It's about you can't lead other people. You can't lead teams like we're talking about and Stop Being Nice unless you are first a stable and strong arch yourself.
Wow. Okay, now I'm going to have to listen to that one too. Thanks a lot, there, Jimmers. And, let's just really briefly touch on Audacious. I saw that Jason really liked it. Give an elevator speech about Audacious, and hopefully we'll have you back on and we'll be able to delve into that one too.
Yeah. So the book is called Audacious. It's forgiveness in the workplace. It just came out last week. And I love all my books, but I think this is probably one of the most significant and most profound books that I've written and the most applicable and the most relevant today. And here's why. I spend the vast majority of my time as a leadership coach and a consultant helping people overcome workplace hurts. The workplace is made up of messy, muddy, broken people. And guess what? It's also led by messy, muddy, and broken people. We're going to step on each other's toes. Most of the time, it's inadvertently. And so what this book gets into is that leaders need to start standing up and doing their job, which is the definition of leadership I use in this book is leadership is doing the unnatural and sacrificial act of guiding and providing others with what they need so that others will willingly move towards a purpose that is useful, virtuous, and good. Well, one of those things that you need to step up and do as a leader that's unnatural and sacrificial is you need to create a culture of forgiveness. We're going to step on each other's toes. We're going to frustrate each other. But whoever taught you how to really forgive? Who's ever really kind of taught you how to apologize and seek forgiveness from another person? These are things that are so healing. It's some of the best of human capacities, but we've never been shown how to do it. The best training we've gotten is when you kicked over your brother's sandcastle at the beach and your parent comes up and says, oh, tell Billy you're sorry. We hang our head down and go, I'm sorry. There's nothing genuine or authentic about that. And that's what we carry into the workplace. Mm-hmm. And so this book, I want to dispel what forgiveness is not. For example, forgiveness is not forgetting. We hear that saccharine phrase all the time, forgive and forget. No, your brain can never forget a horrible thing that's happened to you or a terrible transgression that's happened to you by another person in the workplace. But what you can forget is that they owe you anything anymore, and you're absorbing that debt that they otherwise should pay because they owe you an apology, but you may not get it. So it gets into really the differences between what forgiveness is, what it is not, and gives you real, tangible, practical, human-centered strategies on how to get to a place of forgiveness and how to seek forgiveness from others. Absolutely essential to create a culture of forgiveness in the workplace.
That is awesome. So actually, Carlo and Craig, I'm going to ask for forgiveness because we're going to go a little longer. So Jim, give everybody your information of how they can get in touch with you. Carlo, you want to go ahead and put up his logo?
Yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can get a hold of me at my email address, which is juhl, that's JUHL, at breakingthechainconsulting.com. I did not think that one through when I first made it. I should have made it much shorter, but it's juhl at breakingthechainconsulting.com. You can visit me at my website, which is breakingthechainconsulting.com. You can also, please follow me on either LinkedIn, which is just under my name, Jim Uhl, that's UHL. Follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Instagram, which is Breaking the Chain 73. There, I just gave a hint as to how old I am. And please follow me on those platforms, because two things I promise you: I will never post anything negative, and I will never post anything political. It's not that I can't be political or negative. I most certainly can, but I choose not to on those platforms because I want to use those platforms to bring value to people's leadership journey and their team development journey. That's what's most important to me. And then, of course, you can visit my most recent website that just came out, which is for my book, Audacious, which, again, I really encourage people to go onto Amazon and check it out and purchase it. It will be so worth it. And it's on Kindle, paperback, hardback, and also on audio. So you get to hear the sweet, sultry sounds of my voice if that's what you choose to do as you wisp away into bed. Or
you're walking 5 miles like I did.
Or you're walking 5 miles, yeah, and I'm bugging you in the morning. So you can also go to audacious-book.com is where you can find more information about the book. But you can find it on Amazon or wherever books are sold. But I'm really, really proud of and passionate about that book, Audacious, because it is so needed right now.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We're definitely going to have you on again. This has been great. So, Carlo, we're going to go ahead and get into NRPAs coming up, and there's a couple of little, everybody's talking about, don't be too proud to share your accomplishments. So
humble brags.
Yeah, shameless plugs, as I call them. So go ahead and play the two NRPA. Really quick commercials that I put together. See, I told you they're really quick. So I'm actually doing 2 sessions with some really great people. The first one is actually going to be with Liddy Gutfield, and we're going to be talking about funding for programs, but also about the partnerships that come from those fundings. And the other one is with Sven Leff and Nikki Ginger, and we're going to talk about celebrations. You know me, I love celebrating great things and great people that happen. As Jim says, never put yourself above others. The note that you gave me here, Jim, if serving others is beneath you, the leadership is beyond you. So that is really key, totally truism to the hilt. Next week, my guest is going to be a really good friend of mine. Actually, he is the interim director of recreation, Bo Davis. Bo has taught me so much in working with him. I was actually able to hire him 6 months after I started, and now he's keeping things going. He actually is going beyond the things that I've done. So really proud of him. And I want you guys to stay tuned for the world famous, I call people world famous all the time, but Aquaman. Wesley King has the aquatics life. As I said before, we have everything from soup to nuts, everything from a field to Wesley talks about everything aquatics, whether it's fishing or in the pools or everything like that. Jim, thank you so much. Carlo, thank you for a great show as usual. We will see you guys next week. And remember, go out and make a memory. Take care.
Not every mission happens behind a desk. Some happen in the places where our freedom is defended. This is the front line, where service meets reality. Readiness requires resilience, and impact is measured in people, not headlines. We talk with the men and women who support our military communities, the leaders, responders, and recreation professionals who create spaces where service members and their families can recharge, connect, and stay strong. From fitness and recreation to community programs that strengthen the total force at home and abroad, we share the stories, the challenges, and the purpose that keeps them going. Welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show, hosted by John Prue. Real people, real stories, real service. This is where it begins.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.